Welcome back to the Military Retirement Podcast. John, dude, I had to share this with you, brother. This is completely 3D printed.
That's my new Christmas present.
It could be. It very well could be.
Sick.
But we've got I've got some Fallout masks being printed right now. It should be done by during the podcast. So
yeah,
I'll probably take it out here. But
that's amazing.
Was about 20 different pieces put together, and we just got to sand it down and paint it. So just if you're thinking about a 3D printer, man, I think you should get one.
So that's the cue. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter, all of you out there. Easter. That's the cue for me to go get a 3D printer, I guess, huh? Because you're tickling my my fancy there. Star Wars. If you haven't noticed, I got like a ton of Star Wars back there.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying it, man.
All Legos.
Yeah. So good morning to everyone out there. Happy Easter to everyone out there. So it's I mean, we might be conflicting here with a lot of churchgoers our time here, but it's all good. You know, when you can get in, you fit in. Get a little military retirement podcast in your life. So everyone out there, I see here in the comments, we got some 66T love. Brian Hahn, my man Brian, thank you for that, man. Navy Cop, good morning, happy Easter. Which printer do you have, Vic? I have a Bamboo Lab P2S. Bamboo Lab P2S, and I'm considering getting some more. Another one, should I say. Just, it is, I would call it like the iPhone of 3D printers, because it is so easy. It's literally, they have an app and you could just pick things that people have already made and then just wirelessly send it to your printer. So that's what my kids have been doing the whole time. They just grab my phone, they put it on my face, it unlocks it, and then bam, click something on there. And this is something I'm going to create, something I'm doing for the Green Logbook here. For some of the members that I have on there, once you reach a certain amount, I'm going to send you a little something. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but hopefully it puts a little smile on your face.
Secrets. Yeah, man. I was actually, I was contemplating before I saw the Stormtrooper helmet. I've been contemplating it, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll take some of that tax return money and put it towards a 3D printer, you know. And then I started finishing up my taxes yesterday. I was doing it and I was going through the numbers and I was looking at it, I was like, this doesn't make sense. So let me call in an expert. So I got the experts on the phone and they looked through it and they looked through everything and checked out all my W-2s and all my forms and everything. You know, as a retiree, you get that retirement check first of all, and that's taxable income. You get some VA stuff depending on where your percentage is and the ratings. Could or could not be taxable. You might be getting BR&E or post 9/11 GI Bill stuff. Depending on that, that's usually not taxable. And then if you have a job, then you get your W-2 job stuff, right? So I'm looking at my taxes and I'm like, okay, cool, maybe I'll get something back. And then I saw something really weird and I was like, call in the expert. They looked through everything. They saw everything was fine. And they're like, yeah, the problem is because you have the job and then you know, with the job by itself, it would be a certain tax bracket. But once you add the retirement check onto that, that basically puts you in a whole nother tax bracket. So essentially what's been happening is, and I don't know if it's between how they take the taxes out for the retirement check or how they take taxes out for the job or both. But for whatever reason, not enough taxes being taken out. So I owe Uncle Sam a nice big fat ass check, and will not be putting that money towards a 3D printer this year. But it's just a reminder out there to everybody. I mean, tax season's right around the corner. It's 10 days away, basically. And if you haven't done your taxes, but if you're looking at it, I look at it like this, like it almost hurts me tax percentage wise to take a job after a certain point, right? Up to a certain amount of money. So be careful with that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, be careful, especially if you're self-employed too. There's a huge self-employment tax.
Yep.
So be careful with that. Now, I'm not a tax expert, but I can see where you're coming from, John. Like it's almost, I've done some calculations too, and going from that GS-13 job, and I'm like, man, the amount of stuff going out in taxes is incredible, and it's almost like, let me just take a lower paying job, be in a different bracket. You know, I get what you mean.
Yeah, man. So that was my surprise aha moment for the week. Filed my taxes this morning.
Dude, yeah. So I mean, folks who receive that VA disability, that tax-free stuff, man, that's not bad. That really isn't bad. Now, if you get like unemployment and stuff like that, that is taxable as well. So you have to apply it to that. The some states do tax the retirement. I know here in California they tax a percentage of it. Like if there's a threshold. I think if you make under maybe 40,000, I think it is, then they don't tax your retirement. This just came out like last year, and I think mine is right around that. You know, retired CW03. I think it's right around that or a little bit below. So hopefully I hit that threshold, or I don't hit that threshold, and I don't have to claim anything or do any taxes for that. Yeah, my man Jason Miyamoto in the chat, man. Good to see you. Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out, man, to Brian Hahn over here. Brian Hahn. Incredible dude, great friend. You know, former Marine, retired gunnery sergeant, and he actually hosted us at his house yesterday. He lives in a beautiful house. Got to meet his family and all that stuff. So, hosted us at his house. Now, I've known Brian for many years. He was we deployed to the same area, around the same regional area together, right? So have known him for quite some time. But you know Pedro from LinkedIn, right, John?
Yep.
Pedro, he runs the Veterans and Coffee Connection on LinkedIn. So he flew in from Texas yesterday, and we got a chance to to have like a little veteran coffee connection, and we went out to go eat breakfast, have some coffee, and afterwards we ended up over at Brian's house, and we just kind of sat in there and talked about how we can continue serving veterans, continue the whole veteran and coffee thing. And there's a whole lot of talk of nonprofits potentially happening, so we'll see what happens with that. We just need to get a little bit smarter on it. So yeah, hopefully something happens. But appreciate you, Brian Hahn, for hosting us there.
Yeah, I saw the picture you posted up on I think it was LinkedIn. I saw. I don't know. All the socials blend together at this point. It's just one big blur.
It is. So, but it's funny because Brian and Pedro, they didn't know each other.
Right.
So when I showed up to the breakfast spot, one of them is sitting right here and the other one's sitting like right across from them. And Brian comes up to me and I'm like, Brian, this is Pedro. Pedro, this is Brian. And they're like, oh, dude, we're sitting like right next to each other. Didn't even see each other. It's hilarious. But no, good stuff, man. Good stuff. I really do appreciate, gathering, brainstorming with fellow vets on things that we can do, man. Jason Miyamoto, awesome. Happy Easter.
Jason.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Got another good morning.
I had a conversation this morning about this whole Easter thing, right? So
okay.
We all know the story, like, Jesus rose from the dead, if you follow all that, the Bible. And so I was like, when did like rabbits, bunnies come into play? And why eggs? Why, like, rabbits don't lay eggs, right? Why can't it be like aardvarks or something? It's something out of left field. Why? I'm assuming it's for marketing purposes. Like, hey, look, Hallmark, just like Hallmark and Valentine's Day or something, right? I'm assuming it's for marketing purposes. Maybe the egg industry, and is there a rabbit breeding industry? Maybe they got together. They said, hey, look, we need to make something, some kind of a holiday here. Hey, why not when Jesus rose from the dead in springtime when everything's flourishing? So if anybody knows the history of that in the comments, please put it below.
Yeah, it seems like I mean, I was kind of guessing, but it's been basically post Civil War, where actually the 19th century, around the 19th century, whenever the 19th century came into play, when all the big holidays started to be more popular and more widespread. So, but I think the Easter Bunny tradition was actually a German tradition, or brought over from Germany
look at
to
that.
America, which is a weird thing. But yeah, why Easter Bunny? Why eggs?
Yeah, that's
I
my
would
question.
I would bet heavily on marketing. Same with Christmas, and same with a few other holidays. You know, if you got a holiday and it's nationally recognized and you can make money, it's like saying, why wouldn't I put an ad in the Super Bowl and spend $8 million for a 30-second
Yeah.
spot? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this
Eyeballs.
morning, we put Easter eggs. I've got kids. We put Easter eggs in the backyard, and we also have gophers. So that's fun, right? So you walk around, like, as nice as I try to keep my backyard, you'll walk in the backyard and your whole freaking leg will go into the freaking hole, right? So immediately, I bought a slingshot for this reason, right? And I'm having a good amount of time with this slingshot, right? It shoots out little. I can opt for the stainless steel balls, but I
Mhm.
opted for the environmentally friendly ceramic balls that you get by like 500 packs on Amazon. And you just kind of sit there. And I bought the one with like the little reticle, it's got the little eyesight reticle. So I just kind of sit there. And as I hear scurrying, just let it fly, man. So between that and a shovel to the face, there's a whole lot going on in my backyard. But we started putting Easter eggs all around. So I started popping them inside the little gopher holes, because they're not that deep, right? Some of them are covered up. So
Yeah.
my kids are out there trying to find them and stuff, So good fun this morning.
You haven't seen, or maybe you haven't watched it in a while, Caddyshack, the original Caddyshack.
I remember
I don't
Caddyshack. Yeah.
I don't know if they've remade it or not, but
I don't think they had that's with Rodney Dangerfield, isn't it?
Rodney Dangerfield, Bill Murray,
Bill Murray. Yeah.
some other people, yeah, some other folks, and that's one of the, I guess it's the second movie Bill Murray made that featured a gopher.
Oh, the other one, Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah, little groundhog.
With Puxatawny Phil.
Yeah,
that fucking guy, man. Puxy. Yeah, I don't like Puxatawny Phil, dude. Fuck that guy. Fuck that gopher.
great movie though. Yeah, gophers.
Yeah,
Glad I don't have any here.
Yeah, they definitely do a number on yards. So,
Yeah.
Sometimes, as soon as I see them, sometimes pop their head up, like, and I'm watering the trees in the back, or, like I have some fruit trees. I'll immediately like put the hose in the hole. Like, as soon as I see them pop their head up, I'm like, they can't move that fast, right?
No.
Wow. Yeah, not faster than water. So yeah, that's my thing, man. It's a nuisance, but we try to keep things nice and orderly here. John, man, I did want to bring this up. I made a quick short on this yesterday, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Let me see here. Screen share.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as we know, there's been a lot of changes, as always, with things going on in the military. Okay. Yes, lots of changes. So we have here, U.S. Department of War, Secretary Hegseth authorizes off-duty service members to carry private firearms on installations. Okay. Just reading off of this really quick. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth signed a memorandum directing military installation commanders to allow War Department personnel, namely uniformed service members, to request to carry privately owned firearms while in their non-official duty capacity on Department of War property within the United States. Okay. So I watched the video. If you haven't seen the video, you just go on Department of War or war.gov, and you can watch this entire video where he's actually like signing it there on his X account. And it says, the memo I'm signing today directs installation commanders to allow requests for personal protection to carry a privately owned firearm with the presumption that it is necessary for personal protection. Okay. I've got some thoughts on this, and I'm curious. And also for the folks in the comments there, please share your thoughts on this. as well. I'm very curious to see where folks stand. I'm not that I'm not going to call you out or anything like that. I'm just very curious about different perspectives, right? And I'm just as curious about your perspective there, John.
Yeah, I've seen the video. I've read a few articles among many articles from the Department of War this week. There's been a ton of articles coming out. This is a question that I've asked myself on multiple occasions while I was on active duty, and in a few specific instances where it would have made sense to be able to have some kind of, like, most of the places where I lived at, in and around the bases, the states that I lived at were concealed carry states. Of course, you have to have the certificate and the license and the training and all that stuff. And then depending on which one you have to check to make sure there's reciprocity. And that's even when you're going from state to another state and crossing multiple states and stuff like that. You have to be careful with that kind of stuff. This is basically, the way I read it, is basically saying we are imposing federal law which will allow service members in uniform, whether on or off duty, to carry a handgun, presumably a handgun. I don't think too many people are going to carry like M4 or rifle. Yeah. Carry around an M4. And so I mean, this opens up a big, like, when I asked the question, of course, it was multiple times through my career. And of course, at the time I was licensed concealed carry in multiple states, because America is not safe in all places, right? And even on the bases, if you look in places like Texas, or where we had some of these mass shootings and things like that, mass cows on base. But the thing about it is, I guess, if I think about it beyond just the initial kind of statement, is like, it opens up a big can of worms, because then you have to understand, like, do we follow a federal law and then enforce the military kind of guidelines behind it for weapons? So, like, say, for example, you're an E4 and you have the license to carry your concealed weapon on base, and let's just say it's a handgun. Do you then have to have a clearing barrel outside of every building and clear the weapon before you go into the building? Do you have to handle the ammo the same way? It's a big can of worms that would have to be definitely spelled out. And then does that spelling out of those rules go down to the lowest level commanders? Does it go up to the first GO in the chain to make the decisions base by base? Like, there's a lot of different. It's great to come out and say something like that, and I feel like it has a little bit of sense to it. Like, yes, there are situations where if you had more people on the base who were not, say, in a military police status carrying a weapon, but then you just open it up to everybody, and it's really a double-edged sword for me. It's like, yes, it'd be nice to be able to keep people safe, but at the same time, it opens up a whole nother avenue of a vector of attack, if I want to use my cyber terms correctly. So you got to be really careful with that. And then, like I said, you got to be able to spell out the specific details. And then, does it supersede the local state authority when they go off the base? Like, do you have to put the weapon on the base somewhere and keep it in an armory, and then pick it up in the morning and all that stuff, right? So,
yeah. So I thought about the armory too, and I remember going to several armories. Like, I recall back in Camp Pendleton, and the armory, I mean, just popping my head in there, looking around, right? At one point, I had to do inventory for weapons, or I was just assigned. Either they picked a person from each unit. Hey, go! You're assigned to inventory weapons, like random annual inventories. A lot of these cages, where they keep the weapons and the racks and all that, they were pretty full. So I don't know. Thinking back to that, if you have several people on base, base housing, I don't know if they're going to do the barracks. There's probably not enough room to house all these weapons in an armory that already is housing M16s, M4s, M9s, whatever's on base, right? So I'm wondering how that's going to be accounted for. I'm sure you're going to have to register with MPs or PMO or whoever, right? If you're going to be bringing that on base. And what kind of brings a little bit of ease with this is that the commanders are going to have to be the ones who make the decision whether or not somebody is eligible to bring that on to carry. So what I'm hoping is they ask the unit, whoever is requesting it, say there's an E3 requesting, hey, I want to carry my whatever, my Glock, whatever it is on me. It's my personally owned firearm while in uniform. Okay, gotcha. I hope that the COs would talk to the OICs, the staff NCOICs, and the NCOs to get some perspective on this. Hey, let me see this guy's fitness reports, or let me see this person's proficiency in conduct marks. Let's talk about how mentally well this person is in order to be carrying that. Because John, man, if I close my eyes and I imagine back to my time in service, I can probably think of several handfuls of people that probably should not be carrying a weapon while in uniform at all times, right? Due to several reasons. There's assaults that happen, there's DVs that happen on base housing, and these investigations across my desk. There are, folks who are on that specific watch at the barracks, you know what I'm talking about. And there's a whole lot of mental issues that are going on. So that kind of retracts me. That kind of makes me uneasy about all this. Now, when I go on base frequently, right? I go and utilize the commissary, the exchange. I'm in San Diego. There's several bases around here. So I always feel safe when I'm on base. Okay, like what's the first thing you do when you cross the base? You got to cross an MP or somebody there. Sometimes they're civilian employees, whatever it is. They're waving you through. They're checking your ID. They're waving you through the base. So it gives me that indication that not everybody can get on base, right? Now, not everybody has good intentions on base, but for the most part, it makes me feel safer on base than off base when I do go on base. So there's no reason for me to think otherwise, right? I've never had a situation like somebody in the comments mentioned Fort Hood or something like that. I've never been in one of those situations. Now, what I'm hoping is that whoever is eligible for this firearm carry, that they get a little bit more than the annual training that is required, right? You go and do an annual, I think it's annual or semi-annual, I can't recall in the Marine Corps. I believe it's annual. You have to go for your pistol and you got to go for your rifle training, right? That's like a once a year thing. Like I'm hoping that these folks get escalation of force, threat assessment, training. I don't want to be next to some freaking E3 or E4 who's at the commissary and just came out of mental health, and I'm with my family and he hears a freaking noise, or maybe I say the wrong thing to him, or we bump into each other and all of a sudden I'm at gunpoint. Will that happen? I don't know. That's not a likely situation, but it could happen. So I don't know how good of an idea this all is.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point. I think that's a point that needs to be addressed, like nationally, like across the United States, not just military people, but every single person that's authorized to carry a weapon, whether you're carrying it concealed, open carry, or you just have a weapon in your house. Like I feel like that is the one of the key points is the psychological screening of folks who are allowed to buy a weapon, and I think they do a pretty good job of that in a lot of cases. Yeah. I mean, I haven't bought a weapon in quite a while, but you have to go through like certain screenings and you have to go through a federal database and like all this stuff. And it's great. The problem is that we tend to get really complacent with our rules. We'll put rules in place, we'll enforce them for a while, and then we'll get lax, and we'll start to, wean off or not be so. We don't have a lot of checks and balances in a lot of these cases, not just specifically guns, but in a lot of things, right? And that's why we end up with, some crazy number of money that got embezzled from the government for whatever reason through some contracting scheme or like whatever. There's not a lot of checks and balances in place for a lot of these things, and that's kind of a problem. And I wouldn't want to see it done with this in particular, because you're literally talking about lives at stake.
Yeah,
when you
of
do
course.
this. But I think the psychological thing is for sure one of the key points that I would bring up if I was trying to put this together on my installation as a commander. That would be top of mind, because that should be an initial red flag to screen people for carrying a weapon, having a weapon, in any capacity. And then the other thing, like you said, is the commander's got to decide, right? And we know that commanders from one side of the spectrum to the other side of the spectrum very different opinions on things, right? Different ways of handling things, and that's why it's set up that way. It's supposed to be set up that way, so we have a little bit of variety in the way people can get the job done and accomplish the mission. But yeah, it's a big,
It's double-edged sword, man.
Yeah, it's a big can of worms.
It is, and I think like GC is it yeah, GC Jarhead brought up a good comment on here, and so does 660 Love there. Maybe just NCOs and above. Yes, I agree with that, right? Like you have to earn a certain rank and show that you are somewhat responsible before we even consider you. But GC Jarhead also put something up on here as well. Multi-personal barracks would be an issue with securement. That came across my mind as well, and thank you for mentioning that, GC Jarhead, because we've all, I mean, some of us went into the Marine Corps or into the military and got immediately married, right? So you didn't really have a barracks experience. I had a pretty big barracks experience, and if I recall back, barracks parties can be, it's Friday nights at the barracks. Yeah, you can get crunked, right? Play a little John or something. They don't probably do that anymore, but Friday nights. And I've been on both sides of the spectrum, right? I've lived in the barracks as an enlisted person. I've had duty at the barracks as an enlisted person. Then I've done my rotations as an officer, doing the staff duty officer rounds. You have to stand duty and write in the logbook and all that stuff. I understand that people, they drink, they get crazy. I've seen like random fist fights for no reason at all between friends, at barracks. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? They're like, oh, we just, we wanted to do Marine Corps martial arts and then turn into a fist fight. Okay, let's tone it down, man. And I'm hoping that they don't allow folks to keep these firearms at the barracks, dude. That would be it would be a show, dude. It would be terrible. Wow. So GC Jarhead, thank you for putting that on there, man. It came across my mind. And obviously what Brandon Alborg mentioned on here as well is obviously nobody who is pending anything with the UCMJ. You're pending NJP. You're already mentally like that's hitting you mentally. And there's I'll share this here with you, John, man. Go ahead if you got something, man. I'm pulling this thing up here.
Yeah, I was going to just throw this out there. Like if the reasoning behind it is actually a Second Amendment, that's one thing. If the reasoning behind it is maintaining a level of security on the base, I would treat it like a base downrange. Like I would treat it like a forward deployed operations base in, say, Iraq or Afghanistan. Like, yes, you've got the military police there who are doing the military police stuff. But then you also have a few different groups of people doing like QRF, quick reaction force, and those kind of little task force. And I would task that out to a group of soldiers or a group of individuals, sailors, Marines, on the base on a rotational basis. So not only do you get the enhanced security for the base itself, but then you also get a better training pipeline to get everybody up to speed and up to the same level of understanding of how to use weapons, how to use force, how to maintain security, all those things. Like I've done it a few times on a few different bases, deployed and in garrison. And in the garrison environment, it definitely brings the ships up it raises the water level to bring all the ships up to a certain level of understanding across the field, because everybody knows at some point they're going to have to pull guard duty or pull this or pull that or do QRF. If you have that kind of mindset in the back of your mind already, and that's kind of the understood norm at that point, then everybody gets to be a little bit more responsible with the way they act, with their time, with their off-duty activities, because of the fact that they know that there'll be, 2 or 3 times a month where they have to do a QRF rotation, or 2 or 3 times a month where they have to do some kind of guard duty or checking gate guard stuff, like that kind of stuff. I think it would be beneficial to get everybody up to that level, get everybody in that responsible mindset, and then also get base security up to the point where you can have a safer base. I mean, you're still going to have incidents no matter what you do. Even downrange, we've seen it, but I think that would make the most sense.
Yeah. And I'm with you. And, as you were talking, as you were saying that, we had Dr. Jeff Schwartz on here. Let me see. Hi, gents. Yeah. So I'd like to hear his perspective, because Dr. Jeff Schwartz, man, awesome dude, very knowledgeable. Thanks for jumping on. He is a military and law enforcement tactics instructor as well. So I'm curious to hear his perspective on this. And Dr. Schwartz, we're talking about Secretary Hegseth's new order that he signed, allowing personal firearms, military personnel to carry personal firearms on military installations. And we're just talking about the training that should go behind it, the potential repercussions that this could have as well. So if you want to jump in on the comments there and just let us know. There was another. Oh yeah, let me just bring up what I was going to mention here really quick. And as I was reading this whole thing that Hegseth had signed, this thing popped into mind here. Oh, there we go. Let me pull this thing up here. So here we go. This thing right here, I've had to do a few of these things. This is called force preservation matrix, right? It's basically a risk management or a risk assessment. And there's a thing in the Marine Corps, I don't know if any other services do this, but there's a thing called the Force Preservation Council. If maybe you have somebody, a service member who maybe is not doing well financially, right? Let me make this a little bit bigger. Not doing well financially, then you have to give them some kind of assessment on here. Okay, if this person filed bankruptcy, foreclosure, past due on bills, high debt, et cetera, no debts, or whatever the case may be. If maybe they are having some kind of relationship issues, maybe going through a divorce, there's a certain risk that gets associated with that. Medical, behavioral health matrix, something like if they're pregnant or if they're going through some kind of treatment and it's affecting them mentally, performance matrix, maybe somebody's pending some kind of something in the UCMJ or an NJP or something like that. We really, you attach a number to these people. And if it's in the red, obviously it's not good. They need to be watched fairly closely. That's when you assign somebody like an NCO, staff NCO to follow up with these folks. But every 2 weeks or so, I would have to go and present this to my CO, and it would just not be me. It would be somebody from every unit under the battalion or the squadron. And the CO and the family readiness officer, or I think it's in the Navy, it's like the ombudsman, I believe.
Yep.
And you would present this to these people and say, hey, look, I have so-and-so, whatever Garcia, Lance Corporal Garcia, and yeah, he is $100,000 in debt. And he's currently, we have him assigned to whatever the case is, a financial stressor of, A1 or whatever it is, or A2. It's impacting him pretty hard. It probably impacts individual readiness. We're working through it. He's already paid off so-and-so. He's already seeking financial assistance, blah, blah. So they just want to get updates on all this stuff. So I'm hoping that they look at something like this when they approve the firearm stuff. Like, hey, look, let's see if this guy is on force preservation, because there is a lot of mental stressors in today's military. A lot. I mean, I can flip on the news and I'm seeing like, hey, these folks are getting deployed here or getting ready here. I'm like, okay, well, we've been in peacetime for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, all this stuff happens. There's a lot of mental stressors, and then stuff with family as well. So, I'm hoping that they do something like these matrices to see who is eligible to carry these weapons. And as far as I know, this stuff is still going on. I was just doing it 2 years ago before I retired. But it is a good piece of gear if you want to see where your folks are. And as long as you keep up with it, as long as folks keep up with their service members and actually talk to them and talk to their staff and COs and make sure that they are talking to these folks who are having these issues. This is the only way that it would work. And hopefully these commanders are looking at these matrices to make these decisions.
Yeah, and hopefully they're not using those tools to create the averages and find the averages of their entire force, and they can actually look at those and say, hey, let's look at the outliers on both sides of the spectrum and figure out where the real thing, because that's where all the magic for me happens. It's on the outsides, on the outskirts of a lot of people go to the mean and go to the average in the middle, and that's what they base a lot of their decision making on. And I feel like the best decisions are made in the outliers, in the specific use cases, on the edges, on the fringe of that data. I hope they don't just put it all together and be like, okay, the average is here, so this is where we're going to set the bar, and this is how we're going to make decisions based on that. I hope they don't do that. But yeah, the matrix, I haven't seen that specific one, but risk framework, risk management framework, and stuff like that.
So it'd be it's called force preservation. I know Oliver Rust was also a former Marine. He's in our comments as well. So I don't know if it was like a unit dependent thing. I used it while I was at Marine Corps Base Hawaii. I used it when I was Marine Corps Station Miramar, and you just have to go brief every 2 weeks, brief the CO, brief this whole council, right? It's like a room full of people. You got to brief this whole council, and they just say, they call on your unit. You get up and you're like, hey, we currently have whatever, how many people on force pres. The only one, I mean, it's fairly quick. You know, if there's no movement on it, there's no movement on it. And then you kind of have to explain why there's no movement on it, right? But it is it's a good way for the CO to see, you know, who across their command is pending something or is potentially going to need some kind of help in some way. I see Doc Jeff Schwartz, man. I'll send you the link here. I saw your comment. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm just digging back through the I didn't have all the comments are scrolling by today, which is a good thing.
There you go, Doc Schwartz. I send it over to you.
This is interesting as well. CQs could potentially be armed to provide more security as well. I agree with that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so as like a staff duty officer, you are armed, right? I would have my holster on me. I'd have the pistol, right? It was M9. The funny thing is, when I was stationed in Hawaii, and I'm glad that somebody caught this, right? It was at one point I went to go rack the weapon. And they made a thing like the week I was on duty, where you had to take the weapon every Wednesday to go to the Army to go and clean it. And that was part of the duties, right, on the checklist.
Yep.
Man, I went over there. I don't know if they gave me some kind of jacked up weapon or what. I went to go rack the weapon, right, to bring it back, and I'm like, damn, this thing is hard, right, dude? The whole it was rusted. It was rusted inside. I'm like, ain't no way, man. How they gonna give me a rusted weapon, bro?
Yeah.
You know, so I went to the armory, and I'm like, hey, I don't know. I need to switch this out, man. This is not an effective piece of gear here. So I switched it out, put in the duty logbook, you know, and of course, after that, they brought all the duties in. They're like, hey, we need to care for our weapons here. You need to oil it, CLP, all that good stuff. Take it to the armory, all that. Yeah, I was amazed. I was amazed by that. Oh, yeah, we got Doc Jeff Schwartz on here. Let's bring him up here real quick.
Hold on. There we go.
There we go.
Hey, guys, how are you?
What's going on? How are you? Good morning.
Right.
Happy
make
Easter.
sure I'm on the right microphone this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Can you
check
hear
that
me
out.
okay?
Doing the mic thing.
Just
Mic
want-
check. Oh,
And
he disconnected his camera. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's all good. We'll get him back on here soon.
Yep.
Let me go to the comments real quick, man. A lot of good comments on here. Please. Okay. See me.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that the staff duty were armed. In the Army, we don't arm our staff duty. They're not armed, or at least they weren't armed. I don't know if they're currently armed.
Yeah, we were armed. Anytime I was on there, we were armed, and I mean it was fine, right? Like you can either bring your own holster, but you still have to wear the duty belt and all that stuff, right? So, hold on a second here. Good to go. Okay, let's bring him Doc Schwartz here.
I think you
Alright.
can hear me better now, I hope.
I
Yeah.
can hear you better. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys. Just wanted to
Absolutely.
pop in, say hello. Appreciate that. Just heard the talk a little bit about the new regs, bringing personal weapons on, and heard Vic and John giving some perspectives, and just thought I could just kind of chime in, answer any questions anybody had in regard to that. Real quick backstory. Boy, it would make it a little difficult, especially on a Navy run base, because we're trying to keep the weapons out. Now you're going to be letting them in. So it's just going to be a whole, what do you do? And now you're going to look at a whole bunch of different things. Even though we're under UCMJ, we also have to remember that we're under the state wherever we're at and their rules and
right.
laws. So once we step on federal property, yeah, I got that. But getting there, so people are going to have to understand if they don't have a permit to carry in that state, and they didn't get a letter from the CO, right? Then they got to be careful in transporting. So that'd be one thing just to consider. So my suggestion would be go to your commanding officer and make sure you have a letter that says you're authorized to carry this under whatever statute they're going to give you, and then you're good to go. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree with MA1 on that. You need somebody there who is diligent, safe, proficient. With this, what we call the Bruin decision that you probably heard of, that brought it, so it's a shell issue now to every state. So before it was very difficult, particularly in the 5 states. I live in one of them, New Jersey. So it was just awful. But now we've gone from like 2,000 carry permits to over 80 some thousand. So it really is interesting. But the criteria on the civilian side, it's just a very low bar. So you have what's called the C-care, they call it qualification. It goes back to 15 yards, which is fine because most firefights happen in between 3 to 5 yards in the civilian world, and even in law enforcement as well. You would need to be very careful and kind of think about what is the standard in the state that your base is located, just to be safe, because you're going to have people that are going to bring the weapons on base, and now that they're allowed to actually bring them through, how do they transport them there if they didn't have the proper credentials to do so? So if they don't have a permit to carry in the state, that if it's required, then make sure that they go to the CO and get that letter, which should be really easy to get now because that they're allowed to have them on base.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what Brandon Alborg also mentions, like the overseas duty stations. Yeah, like I can imagine, like when I was over MTS Iwakuni, like there's no weapons out in Japan that I've ever seen. I don't even see the police out there carrying weapons. Right? They carry like batons.
Yep.
So I'm like, yeah, that's probably not going to fly over in Japan. It's going to be here in United States. That's what the Department of War page says. It has to be DOW installations in the United States.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But unfortunately, I don't think it gets specific enough where Um, for instance, I'll give you New Jersey as just a quick example, and then I'll give you Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
In PA, where I was in charge of security at one of the 5 logistical hubs of the Navy up there, um, you carry it in condition 1, they call it. Right?
Mhm.
Where
Right.
you don't have a round in the chamber, and you have to carry it that way. But transporting it, that's going to be a different story too. So important to understand, because some states and some bases are located in areas that have their own statutes and laws. Like Philadelphia, being a city of the first class, they can make their own firearms laws. So you just have to be aware where you're at and where you're going to. And then you need to train. Now, yeah, I understand you probably do a qual of some sort, most likely, but isn't it mostly revolved around rifles? We sometimes get into pistol work, here and there,
Right.
and then depends on what duty you have and what your MOS is and that kind of thing. But are you really proficient? And then are you able to control? And what I mean by control is, how are you storing that? So what has the base come up with for you to store that personal weapon? Are you going to be allowed to carry it around the base, or are you going to have to secure it somewhere? So the CO is going to decide, this is what's happening at my place, right? And then you have to follow it.
Yeah, it sounds, from what I read, it looks like you're able to carry it on base to
Mhm.
prevent potential issues, like similar to like the Fort Hood
Having
thing that
walk-
happened.
Right.
Yeah, so you'd be able to carry it on base. Now, as I mentioned to John in the group earlier, like I've never felt more safe than when I'm on base, right? You have to go through a gate guard, they're usually armed, and it gives you that feeling like, okay, this is a safe space here, right? These are my people, whatever. Now, when and I bring my family on base, sometimes we go to the exchange, commissary, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, how good do I feel being next to, some knucklehead at the commissary with, carrying, who I don't know if he's properly trained. As far as I know, he's got his annual training where he does a couple rounds downrange with a pistol, with his M9, moves back and forth on the lines, and that's all that happens. His once a year training. Hopefully, they get more than once a year training. Especially on threat. Well, I mean, now that this is going to be implemented with like threat assessment, escalation of force, and it should be used for certain purposes. And I can foresee like issues at the barracks. I mean, there's always fights at the barracks, as far as I've known from the beginning of time. There's always something that happens at barracks, and it usually revolves around alcohol.
Yep.
Now I'm wondering how they're going to put a stop to that, limit that, if they're going to be implementing this firearms thing.
So that kind of brings us back to the whole thing on, well, I won't get into the whole use of force, because that is what I really could spend the whole session on. I don't want to take over your guys' show. But in regard to what Vic was saying in particular, you don't know the training this person has had. You don't know what's going to happen if they have alcohol on board, right? You don't know what's going to go on. I've seen best friends, and Vic mentioned it, I think, earlier, just saying, hey, we're messing around, right? We're just playing.
Yeah.
Ends up in a big fist fight and a brawl. So what's going to happen if you are not totally trained in having this with you all the time? Yeah. So yeah, it depends on unit, depends on purpose, mission, whatever. Some guys and gals are used to having the firearm with them all the time. But if you're not, and now you also changed it, because where you're carrying it on your your vest or your gear or drop, whatever holster you have, now it's potentially a concealed carry, right? Potentially. Mm-hmm. And now there's a total different dynamic where it comes to the physiological aspects and the physical aspects of even just drawing out the handgun. So most people don't practice with that concealed carry in mind.
Right.
As Vic mentioned, we're putting a few rounds downrange. It's a piece of paper, right? Doesn't shoot back, doesn't move. So you need to move. You need to move and shoot. You need to practice. You need to practice how you're carrying it, what you're going to do with it. And then you also have to know the ROEs, the rules of engagement, what goes on and what's allowed at that installation you're at. So
Mhm.
it's going to become real important to know those laws. And Vic, of all people, will tell you, you have to understand that if you violate one of those things, you might not even know it, and you're still going to be held accountable. So you really have to delve into that if you're going to exercise that right, which you should be able to, but you need to have your own due diligence, and you
From a,
need to understand use of force.
Hey, Dr. Schwartz, from a law enforcement perspective, how often, because again, in the military, we do it maybe once a year. It may be semi-annually, but usually it's once a year in most services. How does that differ from outside in the public police force? Like, do they do training on a quarterly basis? Do they do continual training? Is there other kinds of trainings that they do that we don't do in the military that would be beneficial?
That's a great question. So in most regular like patrol units, so we would liken it to a regular security force,
Mhm.
not any kind of special op or anybody that's assigned like a MSG or something like that. They're totally different. But if you're just a regular duty officer, you're probably shooting just twice a year, right?
Okay.
And you're going to go back to probably 25 yards, and there'll probably be some reloads involved. So that's another thing. A lot of people are carrying semi-automatic firearms without an extra magazine, and that's a whole other discussion we should have. If somebody doesn't pick up one thing from the show, it would be if you're carrying a semi-auto, you have to have an extra mag, because what do you do when that misfires or when it has a double feed or has whatever? You need to tap rack and you have to reload. And when you're reloading, what are you going to reach for? So you need that extra mag. But it's twice a year typically, and they go over use of force, whatever the attorney general of that state wants, right? And then depending upon what state you're in, it could be by the county DA or the prosecutor may also put rules and regs in that you're going to go over. So yeah, that kind of gets amalgamated into the training, but it's typically twice a year. Now for special units, they could be doing it 4 times a year or just continually training. Depends on what they're assigned to. So it's akin to what goes on in the military, except it's usually twice a year, even for just basic patrol.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. And we got, I know this in the comments here, 66T Love had mentioned this before. It says a while back we talked about gangs having infiltrated the service and police departments. Imagine the different gang faction members having beef. Yes. On base. Imagine being at the food court, enjoying your Subway or whatever your stuff in your face, and all of a sudden this happens. It's terrible. Terrible. Oh, man. But yeah, there is a whole lot of that going on, and I haven't seen the document that was signed yet. I'm searching for it. If anybody has it in the comments, please share it. Let us know. But I'm also curious about if it's only going to be for active duty personnel. What about retirees? Can retirees bring it in?
So that also brings us back to the whole thing of this idea of what we call LEOSA, the Law Enforcement Act. It's better known as HR 218, and that covers military personnel too, but that's usually active duty. So that's why that letter from the CO becomes important, because it shows that you're in a position where you're supposed to be able to carry. Now that you can bring your personal firearms onto base, where is that going to cross? And that's going to be left up to, I think, whoever the adjutant general is, whoever is going to present that those laws, rules, and regs, on that particular base, and talk to the CO and say, hey, this is what I think we should probably do.
Yeah. Yeah. So the MPs, PMO on the base are going to have a big job to fill in watching all this. CEOs are going to have a big job to fill.
Yep.
The JAGs are potentially going to have a big job, a hell of a time with all this. So curious where it's all going to end up, man. But
Yeah.
Doc Schwartz, man, I really appreciate your perspective, man. I really do. We wanted to bring you on and get like an actual military tactics instructor, trainer perspective on all this, because we just I've only done my quals, right? And every so often at the range, and I don't have that mentality that you have about like the whole training aspect and the potential pros and cons of this. So I appreciate
Yeah, and I think you bring up a very valid point. Unfortunately, if somebody isn't very adept, proficient, and aware of what the firearm can do, once you add that alcohol or other things and you throw stuff in there, is that going to create a problem? And then you brought up another extremely valid point. What do you do at the main gate, right? When people come in. So what credentials are you looking for to let somebody bring that firearm in? Are you checking, are they compliant with the state law of before they got onto federal property? Or are you just worried that now that they're on federal property, that they're compliant with what you want to do at the base? So it's going to be a real interesting thing.
Yeah, it is. I'm curious where it's going to end up. And again, I have not read the actual paper that he signed. I'm looking for it right now. I'm actually scrolling through the Department of War.
I hope you find it, because I'd love to read it too. I haven't seen it. I've heard about it. I just haven't seen it yet. And that's, as you very well know, John knows too, of course, and most of the audience knows, you need to read it.
Oh yeah.
What does it actually say? And then delve into what does the state say and what does the base end up saying, right? And then overseas, you can basically just kind of, the document, as you mentioned, it is very specific to to CONUS. It can't be OCONUS. It just,
that's right.
There's no way.
That's right. So if anybody out there has the document, please share it. I might even reach out to my buddies in uniform. I still have a lot of friends in uniform, and I'm like, hey, look, if they sent this out to you via email, because sometimes it just trickles down via email, please forward it. I won't mention their name, but just please forward it.
Well, I'll check with some of my training buddies that are still active on the military side and see if I can also, track it down. But I appreciate you having me on. If anybody had any particular questions where it came to, especially thinking about the tactics of concealed carry as opposed to what you normally would be carrying, and of course you think about where your firearm typically is, right? You're usually relying on your main weapon, your main rifle, and then you're having your firearm as a backup potentially, or as a secondary or primary, depending upon what mission you're going in. But where is it located on you? And now we just change that to a concealed carry and have you practiced.
Absolutely. With
So
Doc Schwartz.
But thank you so much for having me again, and pleasure to see both of you. And great topic, and it's a real big help because most people aren't thinking about this stuff, right? They're overjoyed the fact that they can bring their gun on base and now make themselves and everybody else safer, right? But
that's the idea, but there's a whole lot that goes into it.
Exactly. So I'm really glad you're having this discussion and what you guys do. So keep it going. It's great. And I made a comment because I couldn't see the rest of your shirt, so you can disregard it. It does say Marine of the Quarter. I only saw the retired Marine, so you can disregard that one.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me, gents. We'll talk. Thank you.
All right. So man, it was it's always good to hear from somebody who's doing that, like in that sector.
So he's a resident expert.
Yeah, he is, and I'm truly glad to know the man. real quick in the comments here. Oliver Russ, booze is a factor, myself included. The issues will have to play itself out, I'm assuming. Yeah, and that's a hard thing to accept, right? Because it won't change. It'll stay in place until something happens, and I don't foresee this being in place for very long. At some point in time, somebody in the IPAC, the admin section, is going to have a desk pop. And all of a sudden it's like, what was that desk pop? Oh, and that's where things get reported. Oh, we got folks who are just, oh, look at my new, whatever it is, M9 or, whatever the hell it is, flashing it around or, how knuckleheads can be, man,
It definitely changes the dynamic at the DFAC. That's for sure.
Yes, it does. It does. So with that, curious if you all come across that document that Secretary Hegseth signed. I'm looking for it. Like I said, I'm going to be tapping into a couple of my buddies who are still active duty. Maybe they received it via email, whatever the case may be. But I'm on the hunt for it. If you have it, share it. Happy Easter.
Yeah.
Happy Easter.
It looks like it's called the Non-Official Personal Protection Arming on Department of War Property. It's a memo. It's reading here from the war.gov news story. The memo to senior Pentagon leadership, defense agency, and War Department field activity director. So I think it went to all the higher ups, and maybe they're passing it around to get it vetted and get it blessed off, maybe. So I don't think it's actually been like a memo signed to actually take action on. I think they've just been passing it around the heads of the War Department and the Pentagon leadership. Looks like,
Yeah.
non-official personal protection arming on Department of War property. That's what it's called.
Man, that's just going to put more headaches in the mix for the commanding officers who are already dealing with all these things. Yeah, and like I mentioned, John, man, it has to do with, I can only look at it from my perspective, right? The amount of investigations I've done, the amount of UCMJ violations that have come across my desk, having worked in military justice, having done investigations on DV on-base housing, having done investigations on, fools at the barracks, just like I said earlier, I can close my eyes and think of and just picture several handfuls of people that not that I've served with, but that I've come across in the military that probably should not have access to a firearm or walking around base at the exchange commissary, around families, around, at events, at base theaters, folks who maybe got yelled at by their NCOs or OICs or whatever the case may be and feel disgruntled and take that personally. That's a no-go, man. You don't know what's going on with folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see here.
Sergeant Stacking. Happy Easter to you. Happy Easter. Secure location. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Navy Cup brings up a good point though, too,
Yeah.
right? We shouldn't assume that that's going to be the norm. People walking around flashing their guns and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I look at it from, and I could be completely wrong. I look at it from the perspective of like, now we're allowed, and now it becomes a topic of discussion, and now it becomes a circling discussion around the water cooler at lunch, after hours.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, folks are going to be flashing it around base or anything like that. It's just, I'm throwing out different scenarios out there. What would it cause somebody to take something out of their holster at a time when they don't need to?
I mean, I can tell you this, and this is from personal experience and, lived experience. And this was early on in my career. Like I was still at my training school. I was out of training school and I was waiting to be shipped off, and I had some other stuff I had to take care of, like a dental thing that I had to take care of before I could be shipped off. So I was assigned to like the headquarters company and doing the in-processing, out-processing for people over a period of months. And I remember one specific instance. I was actually in school. So I was actually in school at the time, and I was on the mid shift, which was basically, we started school at midnight. I think we got up at like 9 or 10 to go eat dinner. And then we would hop on buses and then go to school and go from midnight till 7 a.m. in the morning, and then come back and eat breakfast. And then we'd have the rest of the day off to sleep and study and do whatever we needed to do. And I do remember one instance where I was getting ready to go to school. I was waiting with some guys that were outside. And they were just sitting, chilling, relaxing. Of course, it was like a Friday night, so that's what they were doing. But I had to go to school, talking with them. And then I remember a couple of gentlemen coming up, and they were like, "Hey, we're looking for so-and-so." And one of the guys was like, "Yeah, I think so-and-so is over there. What are you looking for him for?" And like some reason that he was looking for the guy. He's like, "Somebody needs to go get him, because if they don't get him, I'm going to go get him." And the guy literally like pulled out a weapon. And he's like, "So if you can go find this guy or tell him I need to talk to him." And I was like, wow. I mean, of course, this was pre 9/11. This was pre COVID. This was pre all kinds of things, right? Bases were a little bit more open. Even in Europe, bases were pretty much wide open when I first got on the ground in Europe. And regular people could just walk in and out of the gates, right? So it's a little bit more locked down than that, but there's definitely been a few times where I've seen it where I don't know if having a weapon on me would have been the solution, but there's definitely been times where I've seen people who aren't necessarily military on a base carrying a weapon, and I've questioned it a few times in my career, seeing that kind of behavior and that kind of thing happening. So I wouldn't rule it completely out. And of course, we still have stuff going on in places like Fort Hood and different things that have happened over time. But it's definitely not an impossibility for to have reasons to be able to protect other people. And luckily, nothing crazy happened that evening. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. Nothing really crazy happened. But yeah, I've seen it firsthand. It's a little scary at first, and then after a while, you're like, it's really strange. And that then prompted me later on in life to be like, why can we carry weapons, go to war, and do all this stuff, and not be able to keep weapons on the base? But then, like I said, it's a big can of worms that you open, because there's so many different factors that you have to factor into that. So.
Yeah, I agree, and I've seen civilians. I don't know who these people are, like driving on base, and they're just kind of randomly walking around.
Yeah,
and and we've been in training before. Like, hey, if you see something, say something, report suspicious activity, things like that. And I've seen folks like with their cameras, like just walking around base, just like, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Have you ever seen that? Like people just walking around, just taking pictures, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? There's a lot of them in San Diego, obviously, because they have like all the planes and stuff like that. So, I mean, these folks are kind of outside of the base, but taking photos and stuff. And some of them are photographers, especially during the air shows, but a lot of them are just kind of hang out there and taking photos of the base from the outside. And I'm always like, and sometimes I would call the MPs or like PMO, I'm like, hey, there's suspicious activity outside. There's some dude taking pictures from the bridge or whatever. Of the base, or whatever the case may be, and they're like, "Oh, thank you, good to go," whatever. But it makes you think, like, what the hell are people doing? How the hell did they get on base? First off, because I remember when you mentioned pre 9/11, it was not even pre 9/11. It was like pre like 2020, maybe 2018. They would just wave you through if you had a little red sticker or blue sticker on your car, and like no checking IDs, like, okay, you're good to go. What if you would have bought that vehicle from somebody else who never took that sticker off? You just get waved through, right? So like there's so many things that we got to think about, man. And training is important, like somebody says. Charlton Zimmerman, I don't know, buddy. He says, why does YouTube censor me about talking? I have no idea. It definitely isn't us.
No, well, it's not us. No. Maybe try changing the keyword of a sidearm or a pistol or a firearm or whatever. Maybe we might get censored from YouTube ourselves for talking about this topic, but you might want to word it in a different way and see if that comes across, and that'd be a good experiment to try out.
Tell you what, substitute the word firearm for crayon and see what comes up. Hey man, so we know what you're talking about. But there,
A fun fact for you, and you may already know this, may not.
okay. I bring up
since
crayons, and you got fun facts. Sorry, go ahead.
Since I've met you, and crayons have been more relevant in my life, and it's kind of
Yes.
like when you mention something, and then next thing you know, you open your phone and it's trying to sell you like the shoes that
Oh,
you were
yeah,
just
yeah.
talking about.
The
So
algorithm.
crayons is my thing. The algorithm's tracking my crayons. Yeah, since I've met you and since I've had these discussions briefly about crayons, I did have a video. I would love to pull it up and show it to you, but I could actually send it to you if you want. Where there was a guy, literally the thing said, it was like crayons were made for this or something like that. And I was like, oh, I have to click on this because now if I don't, then Vic's going to haunt me for the rest of my life and in my dreams. So I clicked on it, and the guy was taking some studs out of some old like farm machinery or some old kind of like some tractor. I don't know what it was. It was an old piece of rusty machinery that he was taking these studs out of. And he starts talking. He's like, crayons, actually, this is a old hack from like the old people that have told me this. And I never believed it until I actually tried it. So he basically like heats up the stud in the hole because it's locked in there with rust. He heats up the stud, gets it really nice and red hot, and then he takes a crayon and just kind of rubs it around on the threads on the outside. And he said basically the heat it draws in the wax into the stud. And then he took his little pipe wrench and he boop 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 and took one off, and then he did another one. He's like, this works. He's like, I didn't think it worked, and I would totally dismiss it, but now that I've seen it with my own eyes a couple of times, and the guy was like, no, but maybe that's just a fluke and it's just weird. He's like, no, I believe this 100%. And he's like, well, maybe we should reach out to Crayon and have them sponsor the video.
There you go. See, crayons. It's what's for dinner, and also helps you with tractor equipment, old rusty tractor equipment.
Right.
So and the wax, right? It's not just for eating.
It's also for taking studs out of old rusty farm equipment.
Oh man, no, it's it brings me back to that going to the VFW during the yellow tastes like sunshine. It takes me back to the VFW when I was out there for the Marine Corps ball, or for the Marine Corps birthday, right? And they put edible crayons on the tables, right? They had the table set up nicely and all that. And somebody had set up regular crayons, like these cheap, like actual crayons on the counter. And the dude next to me starts eating them. And he's like, man, these taste like shit. It's like, and I'm looking at him, I was like, that's not the edible kind, bro. You're eating the freaking regular crayon. He's like, oh, forget about it, man. He just kept eating them. I was like, oh, I guess they're non-toxic. They
are non-toxic.
Charlton Zimmerman in my day stood watch with crayons. Yes. Same. I also stood watch with crayons myself. Yes, sir. And then you have to have another magazine of crayons as well.
Yeah, when you got to reload your crayons.
Yeah, exactly. You can never run out of crayons. So Jeff Shorts, man, he said, we never allowed wave through check CAC card necessary or to visit center. YouTube and Google restrict a lot with weapons, crayons. Found some T-shirts with them having bites out of them. Funny. I'm telling you, I don't know how that thing came about, man. I don't know how the Marine Corps and the crayon thing came about. It's probably the same as like people making fun. Oh, did you eat paint chips? Like, did you eat crayons as a kid? Like I didn't, but
I definitely ate paint chips and chewed on them. Yeah.
Oh man. I don't want to bring this up. I was going to say something, but no, I was going to say something else, but have you heard of, you know what, I'll bring it up, but I won't be so graphic about it. We were in the field one time and I was a young Marine, and I was like, man, you're in the field. Sometimes they bring out like the porta johns and stuff like that if you're like, prolonged training, and they didn't have them out there at the time. So like you have to use your MRE napkins.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, this is not enough. Like it's like a little napkin pack, right?
Make it enough.
yeah, one of the staff sergeants next to me, and he overheard me, and he's like, "Hey, dog, you ever heard of the John Wayne?" I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "No, staff sergeant." I was probably an E3. I was like, "No, staff sergeant. What's the John Wayne?" He's like, "Bro, you take just a sheet of paper and you make a hole. You put your finger in there, and then just wipe it off." I was like, "No, there's not enough water here. They didn't bring out the water buffaloes yet, man. I'm not using my hydro pack for that." The John Wayne. Oh no. Oh man. Let's see what we got. So that brought me back a little bit because I remember that I was like, "Hey, no way, man. I'd rather use freaking leaves, bro."
Yeah.
Yeah. But man, it's it's a whole lot of updates, man, a whole lot of things going on. And it had me thinking about like forest preservation, had me thinking about some of the Marines I served with, even like the whole mental health thing. And that I didn't see a lot of it in my younger days. Maybe I just wasn't maybe I just didn't pay attention to it. And it wasn't until like maybe 2020 when I started seeing a lot, and we started getting a lot of training on like, hey, you're, Marines with mental health stuff and HIPAA stuff. And it's like a whole leadership thing, but more training to the leadership. But I don't recall seeing a lot of like, a lot of Marines seeking mental health until like around 2020. And that's when it kind of like shot up. And I'm like, man, this is really an issue, right? And then I started having my own folks who are like, hey, we had to, put some folks on watch, right? We had to like make sure that everything was okay. Then we started going through this whole force risk assessment stuff with these cats. And I'm like, man, this is a lot of stuff happening here. Like issues that I didn't really realize were big, and maybe I wasn't privy to it. Maybe I just didn't pay attention to it enough. Are you bringing up the Army chaplain there?
No, this is one of your guys. This is General Leonard Anderson the Fourth.
Yeah. What's the headline there?
Prepare your family. Marine Reserve Commander gives warlike safety brief. It's actually pretty good too. And it
Share the link, bro.
Underscores the importance of the times we're living in right now and what's going on with the force. You mentioned, things are heightened around the world, and that brings a lot of anxiety and stress and a lot of other things to the forefront. This general, it says Reserve General, right? So Marine Forces Reserve and Marine Forces South. I don't know if he's active duty or a reserve general.
No, he's probably active duty, but he's serving as the Marine Corps Reserve Command.
Okay.
3-star head of reserve. Yeah. So he's probably active duty.
Yep. So yeah, it's interesting. This is the first time I've seen one of the commanders at that level reach out to the enlisted and to the officers below them and put out a message like this, and to the families to get prepared to. It says, are you truly ready to deploy, fight, and win? Are your skills sharp, your standards high, your gear prepared for immediate movement? Is your desert MARPAT readily available? Is your gear packed and ready to pick up and move? Or is it stored away in a corner of your home? Are your family affairs in order? Not only just for folks that are potentially going to get deployed, but folks that are doing anything that's shifting between one state to another state, whether you're, getting deployed or transitioning or getting out of the military or going for your VA stuff. Like, make sure your family affairs are in order at all stages along that timeline, no matter what you're doing. But I really like the fact that he reached out and he was putting this out there to basically everyone. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great, man. Are you ready? Essentially, are you ready? And that, excuse me, that's one thing that I think a lot of folks overlook a lot. When you're going to go on a deployment, when you're going to go on like a MU, like the Marine Expeditionary Unit, like the 31st MU or something like that, man, I would have to go and do like welcome aboard briefs every so often, like, hey, welcome aboard. You're brand new to the installation. Here are the services that, my unit provides for you, for you and your families. And a lot of times, man, just right before a deployment or um, right before like a MEW, a MEW going out or whatever, or when we get one in port or something, uh, like the offices would be bombarded with like family services. Like I would have to assign extra people to take care of that kind of stuff. And that's fine, right? I mean, sometimes last minute things come up, we're there to support, we're there to help. But man, it speaks volumes when you have somebody at that level speaking directly to his people, like, hey, make sure your stuff is ready, because in this environment, in this climate today, you have to be ready. You can't just be like, oh shit, my flak jacket is over here, my sappy plates are over here, I got to put together this stuff, I got to get all my crap ready, put it all on your gear cross and have it ready to go, right? People know what a gear cross is, I assume, right? I used to have my flak jacket on the gear cross. So it was like a plywood that we built. It looked like a cross, right? And it had like a stable kind of base. And I would keep mine in my garage, and I put my my flak jacket on it. I put my pack on it, and I put my helmet on top of it with the boots there. It would just be a cross, kind of like a hanger. You would hang all your stuff on this gear cross. So I have one in my garage. Shit, I think I still have it in there. Let's see if I can find it. Gear cross. Yeah, so kind of like, let me bring this up here to the stage. Like this. You can see that there, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it is. Just a cross, and you can hang up all your stuff on there. And then that's all it is. So
right.
Very simple to make. It's fairly stable. You can paint it if you want, but I would just have my stuff ready there. But then you get the knuckleheads who go to like SIF issued, and they would just keep all their stuff in their truck, in their truck bed. I had a dude who had he had a Toyota Tacoma, and he went to SIF, and then he kept his stuff in the back of his truck, went to Walmart, came out, and surprised that all his shit was stolen. I'm like, well, what do you expect, bro? Like, what, you keeping it in an open bed? This is like thousands of dollars of gear. You got your Molly pack and stuff. You have to put in a claim, and I was like, all right, well, not only you're going to put in a claim, you're also going to counsel for this trash, because it's accountability of your own gear. See here, just looking at the comments, man, a whole lot of comments.
Yeah, lots of comments today. Lots of crayon comments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. GC Jarhead said, got out in 95 with 8 years, and MH was never a thing anyone spoke about or sought treatment. Yeah, man. It never came to light until for me, until the mid 2000s, maybe. And maybe I just overlooked it. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't really talked about. And then all of a sudden, I remember somebody's going away speech. One of my Marines going away speech, and female Marine, right? And she goes, what's the best thing I ever did in the Marine Corps was go to medical. And I was on one end of the room, and I looked at my buddy. He was a master sergeant, and we immediately, as soon as she says that, we immediately like locked eyes, like, what the hell is she talking about? Immediately, I could see like the rage in his eyes. He's like, hell no, she didn't just say that. Yeah. But I mean, and I was talking to Brian, who we have on here, and Pedro, who were two previous recruiters, right? They were on recruiting duty a while back.
Yep.
And I heard, I don't know, or I read it somewhere, maybe on Reddit, right, that now a recruiting tool is VA disability.
Hmm.
So I can see how that can be thrown in there. Like, hey, come serve 4 years and on the back end, go to medical and then get all your VA disability. Then you get paid for life, blah, blah, blah. Almost like a retirement, check or something.
Get rich quick scheme.
Yeah. And I'm like, ain't no way. And, I don't think they heard of it, but on Reddit, somebody had put on there, and I got to find the post. It's probably under like /veterans or something, but it was recruiters using VA disability as a recruiting tactic.
Yeah, actually, I think I not came across it, but the first time I've realized that it wasn't so stigmatized was about 2012, 2013, when I became a master resiliency trainer in the Army.
Yeah.
And master resiliency training is basically, a bunch of modules that teach you how to be resilient, how to bounce back from adversity, how to look at a brighter outlook on life. And it's very touchy feely. And I know when we first started teaching this stuff, or at least when I first started teaching, it was very mixed bag of emotions came from the audience. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. I've been to places and trained on it where people were totally like against it, and they were like, this is stupid, this is the worst training we could ever be taking, why do we even take this? But it slowly came to light where people were like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense. Like, we are under a lot of stress, we do a lot of difficult things, and there are times when the military life bleeds into the family life, and that can cause problems and those kind of things. So it was really an eye-opening experience for me, and that's when I saw a lot more of the mental health kind of services being used, especially when it was like divorces or domestic violence or anything, those kind of like serious places where you need some counseling help.
Yeah.
Where it really became more relevant to me, where it is okay. And I mean, I think part of the stigma is like, oh, well, if I go to mental health and I go try to talk to somebody about this and get some help with whatever problems I'm dealing with, then there's going to be a mark on my military record, and they're going to take away my security clearance and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I can tell you firsthand, like after going through a divorce, after being on active duty, going through a divorce, and the mental like hurdles that came along with all of that after the fact. I can tell you from personal experience that that's not the case. Like, you're not going to get, you may get talked about by people, but who gives a shit what they say? Like, don't listen to people. Don't, especially if they're not talking at you from an educated place. Don't worry about that. But as far as like your military record getting marked and your what is it called, your pool shiz and all that, like, yeah, that it gets adjusted, but losing your security clearance is not one of those things that's going to happen. And the most important thing is getting help and getting some kind of outlet where you can talk to somebody who's a professional who can help you through whatever it is you're going through. But sitting back and not going through that process and not seeking out help is probably not the best thing. And again, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist yet, maybe one day. But if you need the help, like, go get the help. Don't worry about the repercussions that may or may not happen, because I think a lot of those are just made up fictional repercussions. And I think that's a message that needs to get out to a broader audience.
Yeah, that was, and I know exactly what you're talking about. That was an issue for a lot of folks, especially in leadership positions, that didn't want to seek mental health or to seek assistance, right? Potentially losing your security clearance, that coveted clearance that can get you through the military and potentially get you a nice job after the fact, so, but hey, shoot, man, if you need it, you need it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you don't want to, who is it on here? Somebody put it on here. It was, I think it was GC Jarhead mentioned that was the culture back then, just push through.
Yep.
And yes, I understand. Just push through. Should we have pushed through some things? Probably not. I appreciate it, Dr. Schwartz. Appreciate it. I'm looking at the comments here real quick. Oliver Rust. Okay. Oh yeah, I'll share this here with you. Chief Vic, I demand reparations for you making me spit my coffee on my keyboard. The CD story was the best. Did I tell you about the CD story, John?
No, but I was going to point out that we do have a disclaimer that flashes for about 13 milliseconds in the intro video that says we're not responsible for any coffee you may spill on yourself or others.
You may not see it, but it's
It's
the
there.
subliminal messages are real.
Legal.
Let me grab my thing here real quick.
What other comments we got in here? Look. Yeah, thanks, Dr. Schwartz, again for coming on and hanging with us.
So this is my I Love Me binder right here. Right. I'm covering all the good stuff down here. I Love Me binder, right? We should all have I Love Me binders, right? It has like little news articles of me and when I was playing soccer and for headquarters, look at that guy. Look at that stud right there. Anyhow, I was looking through this and I'm like, huh. And I was doing an investigation at one point. I had to turn in a CD of the investigation over to NCIS, right? I was reading through it. I was working with, I had 2 NCIS agents that worked for me. And they're like, hey, sir, can you put the findings and all that stuff, everything that you're looking at, burn it on a CD for me. And this was circa 2016, 17, something like that. I'm like, hey, I got you, man. So went over and grabbed my one of my young motivated devil dogs, right? This Lance Corporal type. And I'm like, hey, dog, I got this CD. It has all this stuff from NCIS. I need you to make me a copy of the CD, please. All right. And he's like, hey, good to go, sir. Motivated as shit, man. Good to go, sir. I got you. All right. And he came back like 10 seconds later. He's like, hey, here you go, sir. I'm like, damn, that was fast. Like, how'd you do that? And he hands me this, bro. I saved the paper. This.
Yeah.
And
He definitely burned you a copy.
I looked at him, I go, hey, there ain't no, for one, I was like, there ain't no way. What's your ASVAB score, bro? There ain't no way. My man literally put a CD on the glass of the Xerox machine, closed the lid, pressed print, and walked to my office with this piece of paper. He made me a copy of the CD. So, and then the comments, folks are like, man, well, you can't fault the man. He did what you asked him to do.
Literally.
I'm like, well, he did. Like literally, he did what I asked him to do, make me a copy of the CD. I should have made the man sign this so I can keep it. I'm going to put this up on my wall somewhere. And maybe like those little black placards with the gold writing, make me a copy of the CD circa 2017.
The fastest CD copy I ever got.
Fastest CD copy I've ever gotten. Brother, that really made me question things. I was like, as a leader, do I need to break things down a little bit more Barney style for folks? Like I didn't exercise it. There was an Army Chief Warrant Officer 4 who made me do an exercise. I made a bunch of us do an exercise at one point. He's like, hey, walk me through how you tie your shoes. And I'm like, well, you just put the loop here, you do this, whatever, pull it through. He's like, no. I need you to give me every single piece of information that goes into tying your shoe. You look down at your feet, you put your feet up or you sit down. What's the next thing? Like break it down piece by piece. And it went from doing the loop to like, I don't know, 70 different things that you would do. Look at this, grab the tip here, do this, put it through. And I'm like, maybe I have to do that for these knuckleheads, right?
Yeah.
So I showed him. Yeah.
Method.
What is it called?
The John Wooden method.
The John Wooden method.
Yeah, it's one of the things, foundation of basketball team being in sync and being able to like do really good things. And he starts with things like that: shoes and socks. How do you wear your shoes? How do you wear your socks?
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to look that up, man. But yeah, it was a good shout out to him, man. It was a good learning lesson. Just kind of breaking things down, and that's when I realized this guy does not know how to make a copy of a CD. So I'm like, let me walk you over there, dog, and show you. You put it in the old one, you put in the new one, you press copy or whatever. We had like a standalone
Duplicator.
copy machine. Yeah. So, and again, this was circa 2017, 18, something like that.
That's pretty
So-
far on.
Yeah.
That was almost when CDs were going out of style.
Yeah. So maybe it was even earlier than that. I don't know. But you can use USB drives in these government computers.
Yeah.
Like that was not allowed. So
Yep.
let me see here. Yeah, same Navy cop. I think this is my just the enlisted one here. And I have another one for the officer side, man. And I'm glad I kept these things, man. It's definitely good to look back on and see what you've done in your past life. You know, I should probably start keeping "I Love Me" binders for after everything, right? Here's the old mandatory Staff NCO Academy picture there. So over in Okinawa, Japan. So it's fun time. But yeah, it never ceases to amaze me, man. That dude was probably eating some freaking crayons. I'll be honest.
Might have been.
Yeah, man. Let's see what we got here, man. Go to the comments real quick. I'm gonna have to. I'm way off Oliver Rush from a YouTube plaque, but I might have to frame that somewhere. And Navy copper over here regulating. I like that, man. That's cool. I saw that comment. I was about to read it. I'm like, no, hold on a second. Hold on a second. No, man, but good stuff, man. And I'm glad that we got a chance to to talk about all this stuff about all these regulations that are coming through, all these new rules that people need to conform to and stay updated with. There's a lot of changing of the guard happening. A lot of folks being switched out. I just saw, I think it was yesterday, an Army general was relieved or
Chief of Staff of the Army.
forced to retire. Yeah, Chief of Staff of the Army. Is it
Yep.
Reedy? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Let me pull him up here. Randy George.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Randy George. Yeah. So, I think he was a prior chaplain, or is he a chaplain? I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's prior enlisted. I've been reading so many articles this week. It's unlike me to read so many articles, but I've been reading a ton.
Yeah. So Randy George, man, when you got a 4-star, when you got a star in your collar, on your epaulets or your collars, you have some experience. You probably are a master of strategy and history on military history, right?
Yeah.
Probably have studied a lot. These are probably the folks that you want to have at your side.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, he wrote a nice little farewell email and sent it out to everybody.
Yeah.
Just really cordial. He took the high road. He really did. He took the high road. So I give him that. Good morning, Mario 3804 and Tony Slaughter. Hey again. You have another account.
Oh, my man Mario. Yeah. There you go. I haven't seen Mario in a minute, man. This guy's been in hibernation. No, man, but yeah, a whole lot of stuff happening, and just you just have to keep up to date on what it is, man. And I don't like to read the news or see the news too often. I say that, but I always tend to gravitate towards it, right? And I was just on somebody else's live stream. We were just talking about this too, how it you take a mental hit when you bombard your life and everything you read with all this stuff, because then you are training your algorithm on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, to show you more of this anxiety inducing stuff. Oh
Yep.
man, let me check out this war in Iran. Now let me check this out. And then they keep putting more in front of you because that's what gets the clicks. That's what makes the money, right? So just understand it's okay to take a break from all that stuff. The one gentleman that I was talking to on the live stream, I can't remember the guy's live stream that I was on, a newer YouTuber, but again, veteran, I support all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And this guy said, look, I've been retired for like 10 years and I can't, and I'm constantly have anxiety with everything that's happened, even though it doesn't affect him directly now that he's been retired. He's like, he just can't stop watching it.
Yep.
And, I mean, I just commented on there. I was like, hey, look, dude, man, I felt the same way for a certain point. I just took social media off my phone and just kind of kept the YouTube stuff on there just because I run a YouTube channel, right? But, I take, for the most part, Facebook is crazy for this, right? But I took Facebook off my phone because that's like where a lot of these, folks with the comments live. But damn, the dude that was running the live stream was like, hey man, don't take social media off your phone. I'm like, well, I have a different perspective than that, man. Just go cold turkey and just take it off your phone, dude. And just the fear of missing out, it'd probably take you a week, but then the weight lifted off your shoulders from like not reading this stuff and just being okay with being outside or whatever you do, picking up a hobby is just an incredible feeling. So try it out. Try it out, man. It worked for me. It might work for you.
Yeah, that's the thing is like most people that tell you the opposite of that are people that are not going to even try it out, not even for a week or 2 weeks or however long it takes to try it out and see what the results are. They may try it for a day potentially, but a day is not going to give you any kind of good analytical data to look at. So you gotta give yourself, even if it's just an experiment, like what's wrong with an experiment? What's the downside of an experiment? What's the worst thing that could happen if you take social media off your phone for a week? You just miss out on people's updates for a week. It's not the end of the world. Like you can go back if you want. It's not irreversible.
Dude, I haven't been on YouTube all week. And that's my fault too, because I probably should have been on there to approve folks into the military retirement group. But I saw there was like 15 people that requested access. I was like, oh shit, let me, actually, I'll do it right now here on the live. I'll accept these folks on the military retirement group because I kind of felt bad. I saw it and I'm like, oh man, what is this? Oh, okay, I saw something else. Yeah. A lot of folks that requested, and if you requested to be in the military retirement group on Facebook, man, I haven't approved you. I'm sorry. A lot of stuff going on. John and I are both in school, in class. We do some work. We do some meeting with folks and stuff like that. So not that you guys are back of mind or anything like that. It's just I'm trying to get to everything at one time. So in order to keep my mental capacity going, I got to take a break every so often.
Yeah. And it's just us running this stuff. There's nobody in the background, no editors, no special people in the background running social media. We do it all ourselves. So
You got no Oompa Loompas or minions or anything.
except for Navy Cop. Navy Cop's in the background doing all the things. But other than Navy Cop, it's just us doing all this stuff back and forth every single week, every single day.
Let me see. Go into the comments here real quick. Let's see. Navy Cop, I did. Yes, I did get your email. I appreciate that, man. I'm excited. What's that?
It's the next comment.
I'm damn special. Short bus special. Short bus special. Man, where's that picture, man?
You know the human head weighs 6.8 pounds?
I thought it was 8. Well, mine is more like 8, dude.
School. Hey, school for me is going good. I don't know about Vic. Vic, you're still in second class, right? Second class now?
That's right. Yeah. That's where I am.
I'm a few classes ahead of you into it. Of course, I'm not working on masters, but school is up and down, man. It's up and down. Some weeks, some classes you get a lot of schoolwork. Some classes you get a little less. Some classes you have to do a lot of discussion. Some classes you have to be in my case, some classes you have to be in person. Some are online. Some are completely self-driven, where they just give you the material and they just give you assignments and you have to report every week and check in and do all the stuff. And there's no actual discussion like classroom teaching. And it can be challenging sometimes. And it can be overwhelming, and you miss assignments and you miss deadlines sometimes. And but overall, it's a net positive for me, anyways. A net positive.
Yeah, for me, it's been going all right, man. I can't complain. I'll put it like, for some reason, a master's degree is a lot easier than a bachelor's degree, at least when I was doing mine. So I don't know why that is. And I'm kind of like, and should it be harder? I don't know. But, you know, it just takes a lot of getting into that academic mindset and the time management piece is huge. So, but other than that, I mean, I'm enjoying the talks and discussions in the class. It's pretty good. There's a photo I'm trying to bring up, man, and it reminded me as soon as this dude, Navy cop, mentioned the short bus, immediately, gosh, where is it, man? I just downloaded the damn thing too. I sent it to myself. I'll find it here. I got you. Hold on. Here it goes. Oh, God. It's not coming up. What the hell? Seven. I got it here. Of course, it's named something completely different than what I thought. I went on when I went on my trip. This is the shortest bus I've ever seen. There, Navy cop. This dude, I took a picture of this guy, and I'm like, immediately thought about Navy cop. I'm just kidding. I didn't. Short bus. This was in Guatemala, and this is it was like a vendor. I don't know if he does like ice cream out of this stuff or what, but that's a short bus if you've ever seen one.
It's a very short bus.
Yeah, very short bus. Let's remove that over. Oliver Russ, man, right on. Good having you, buddy. Welcome to on the Green Logbook. Welcome to the Green Logbook. So just so you all know, we're streaming on Military Retirement Podcast, the Green Logbook, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and I think it was Charlton Zimmerman that brought it up during. Oh well, John, I got to tell you this, man. Let me just preface this by this. So I was on this other gentleman's live stream. I don't know if you've seen him, H-Town Vet.
Yep.
You know, shout out to H-Town Vet. And then randomly, it was like I had gotten home from having dinner with my family. Then I jumped on the live stream. I saw he was live, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on, ladies and gents?" And I noticed that a lot of my comments weren't like I was commenting, but it wasn't showing up. He had that little scroll thing on the side of his screen, right? It wasn't showing up. So I'm like, "Whoa, what the hell's going on here, man?" And I didn't know if it was something with my account, so I jumped on my other account, that Vic Learns Content account, and I started commenting from there. And sure enough, it was allowing me to comment from there. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? This is Vic from the Green Logbook, just saying what's up," or and there was a lot of at first a lot of hostility with everything, and I'm like, what's happening? There was like, "Hey, forget this Green Logbook guy," whatever. In the end, we hashed it out. Right. I don't know. Apparently somebody had mentioned that I was their buddy, and then was messaging or emailing this guy H-Town Vet, saying that apparently it was a lot of just high school drama type of stuff. Right. And I'm like, yeah, it's something that I don't usually get involved with normally. I'm just trying to live my life, man. So I'm like, "Hey, look, dude," I emailed the guy. "Hey, look, dude, let me know let me know what's going on, because I'm completely confused on this entire thing. I literally got on to say what's up. So we hashed it out. We're all good, everything like that. And I think it was Charlton Zimmerman that mentioned that he could not, he stopped watching the channel because there was too many streams. And I think that's because it was like the vertical and the horizontal streams coming from every channel. So I'm like, okay, now on, I will only do the horizontal, because I think there was a lot of confusion. Which one do I watch? Which one's a live one? Which one's not live? And then people didn't know. So I'm like, okay, well, I just kept it at the horizontal for right now. I'm no longer, from the Green Logbook side at least, no longer going to be doing the whole vertical thing. Yeah. But yeah, I was completely confused about that, man. I was like, how the hell? Like, what? I just got done eating some damn sushi, and I walk in, I'm like, man, what's all this hostility, bro? So yeah, apparently this and I was like, hey, it's not John from the Military Retirement Podcast, is it? Like, he's not the one talking trash. And no, it can't be John. Hold on a second here.
Me talking trash? For why?
For why? Had to get my second cup in, man.
Yeah. Shit, a second cup, man. We can wrap it, man. We've had everybody on here for a couple hours. I see some East Coast folks have dropped off here in the last few minutes. I know it's Easter Sunday. You may or may not have Easter things going on. You may have some Easter eggs in your backyard that you want to go hunt up or dig up. You might want to go down to the park and terrorize some Easter egg hunts. And
oh man,
put your ghillie suit on.
Today is going to be all about getting my paper completed for class. That's one thing, right? If you're going to be, it's exciting to use the VRNE. It's exciting to go back to school and use your GI Bill. But then you realize, damn, I'm in class. I'm in school now, and I have to do things with my brain and my hands. Yeah. So, yeah, I almost didn't make it, man. I got a B because I turned in my other paper written in crayon. So,
nice.
Yeah, teacher's like, what the hell is this?
Crayon font.
Write my thesis in crayon. Let me see.
Crayon.
Yeah. So real quick in the comments here, Mario 3804 using VRNE. Are you using VRNE, Mario? Let me know, man. What a great program. If you haven't already gone on it, use it.
Best thing going.
Yeah. What's the name of the cop saying? Look up the Far Side School for the gifted cartoon. Saw that on board ship, and someone has replaced the school sign with Navy Nuclear Power School. Says so much creator drama this week as the stomach turns on. As the stomach turns, Vic is handed the 128 crayon box and is confused with the amount of options. Too many options, bro. Too many. At the end of the day, I'm just going to stick my finger in that freaking sharpener in the back and just start going at it. I am not going to, Tony Slaughter, I am not going to do that. Thank you. Can't type today. Awesome show today, guys. Yeah. Benny DeMarble, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. Oh, you know what, John, I had put it out yesterday or on my last live stream a couple days ago. So as I'm, the instructor has already talked to me about the capstone and the thesis for the end of the course, right? And he's like, start thinking about it now. Yeah, it's kind of far away, but you're going to have to develop this over time, right? So I'm, of course, as we do it here, military to civilian transition stuff, I'm going to be doing mine around military to civilian transition, about finding your next mission purpose, the mental hit that we take, and how the mental hit can affect your physical. Folks may not want to go outside. They might start, just getting physically like overweight or like, whatever the case may be. One thing affects another. So I'm starting to do all that with this degree program. So I put it out there on my live stream I think it was on Wednesday, maybe. Anybody who's interested that if they want to be a part of the research project, I am looking to connect with several veterans to get their perspective on what life was like for them going from military to civilian and how it may have affected them, you know, the ups and downs, lessons learned, anything they care to share, right? I'm not going to go too deep if you don't want to go too deep on this stuff. But I'm looking for references and people to speak with on that to help me with my final research project. So if anybody's game, let me know. I mean, just put it in the comments if you want. I'll end up probably doing a Google survey with a bunch of questions, and then we can connect that way. But you know, if you're good to go, if this is a good idea, maybe this is a good I guess audience to talk to, then I'm all game for getting a hold of folks. But I'm starting to think ahead here before. I don't want to do it last minute, so I want to do it with a couple months ahead of time. With that, also thought of an idea of creating some kind of a booklet, maybe of short stories, maybe 1 or 2 pages. Maybe include a lot of the regular folks that we have on our show to share their best military story. It could be something crazy, funny, whatever the case may be, and publishing that as a way to say thank you to the folks that listen to us, and as a way to kind of share in some funny stories or some good maybe war stories per se. So I was interested in that. As I was writing down in my own logbook stuff of things that I remember back in the day, and then, you know, hearing Navy Cop talk about his stuff, hearing other folks talk about their stuff, I'm like, man, this would be a good little like coffee table book to have, you know, war stories from the Green Logbook and Military Retirement Podcast or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the third and fourth order effects of doing all the interviews that we've done, interviews that we'll continue to do in the future. Hopefully getting back to some off-site, offline interviews, pre-recorded stuff. But we definitely have a catalog of stuff that we've already recorded that you can reach out to,
yes,
because you're part of the majority of that either way. So definitely a lot of material already there.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, I want to give a quick shout out to MVMT Financial. Okay, Josh Cantrell, awesome dude, Army retired. He's a financial strategist, helps a ton of folks, a ton of veterans and retirees in their financial endeavors. If you have any questions, get a hold of Josh Cantrell at MVMT Financial. Let me see if I have his link. I can't remember his link here. If you want to throw it on there, John, if you got a second.
I got you.
Yeah, MVMT Financial. I want to give a shout out to American Fidelity Life Insurance. Probably one of the things that I should have done while I was in the service that I kind of kicked myself in the ass about not doing in time before I did my VA disability was get life insurance. So I teamed up with American Fidelity Life Insurance, MAFLI Life.com.
Oops, sorry.
And oh, there you go. No, that's the wrong one. American Fidelity Life Insurance. I think that might be a different one. AMFL.
Yep, got it. Sorry. I'm doing this live. That's what happens.
Yeah, there you go. American Fidelity Life Insurance. That's the one. Has a lineage in the Navy, you know, and Marine Corps. So I'll be bringing on the Green Logbook side, talking to the VP of American Fidelity Life Insurance here pretty soon, talking about the importance of it and how it can help you. So American Fidelity Life Insurance, shout out to you guys. This summer, I'll be doing a lot of space aid travel. I plan on it too. So I'm going to be doing using EBIE Travels, EBIE Travels. That's created by an Army captain who essentially wanted to do space A and figured out a way to kind of make it as easy as possible for the end user. So EBIETravels.com, use code Green Logbook, and that'll get you 20% off of his plan. But it is free to use for 45 days, so check it out. And here is the military retirement group, the Facebook group. You can find this on Facebook. Navigating the military to civilian transition. You don't have to be retired to be a part of this group. You could. It doesn't matter if you serve 4 years or 40 years. Great stuff. Great comments. Great conversation on here. All that good stuff. So if you haven't already, and I have probably about 15 folks that I need to approve right now. So that's going to happen pretty soon. If you've asked for approval and it hasn't happened, that's my bad. That's on me. I'm looking at it right now.
And I just want to address one comment before we go, because I love comments like this. We don't put just all the good stuff up there and all the stuff that boosts our ego, because we're not trying to boost our ego either way. Mm-hmm. Good channel, but you don't care about us. We actually do. We care about every single one of you. We've talked to many of you either in person or through this format that we call YouTube. Had conversations, had emails, had phone calls, had private Zooms, private chats, and we continue the dialogue after the fact. We don't just have people on here and talk to them and then they go about their separate ways and we go about our separate ways and we don't talk to them anymore. Some have opted in to become sponsors of the show. So we do care deeply about the veteran community. We're veterans ourselves. And the majority of the folks in the chat are veterans. And we're just building a community around everybody here. So
yeah,
just to address that.
I'm curious if, Tony Slaughter mentioned, hey, Untrackable, this is empowered by the VA. Yeah. Hey, Untrackable, I'm curious if, I'm curious what you mean by that. We're here for you guys. So just elaborate, please, if you will.
I saw that.
This is empowered by the VA. Oh, we got my man Josh Cantrell on here. Awesome, man. Josh, we just gave out a shout out to MBMT Financial. So that's financial strategist, right? We all know Josh. He's been on the show for a couple times. And, if you have any questions on your finances, he is the man to go to. Josh Cantrell. Awesome.
This is not an AI generated live stream. That's the real person right there if you want to reach out to him.
That's it. I think he needs a nap. Yeah, I think he needs a nap. Maybe some milk too. I don't know.
Maybe some roofies.
So, no. All right. So with that, thank you all for joining us this morning. Happy Easter. Great to have you all. And let me show you this, John, real quick before we go.
No, you don't need to kick him Navy cop. It's cool. As long as there's no disrespectful stuff going on, we can voice our opinions. I'm totally cool with that.
Just finish this mask here.
Uh-oh.
This is Fallout mask. So
yeah.
Still has all the stuff inside. I got to take all the stuff out. But the power of the 3D printer, bro.
Yeah, I see it.
Something else to play with to take up your time.
Yeah, that's the time that I don't have.
Yeah. But the 3D printers now make it so much easier to do. Just it's all wirelessly. So
good.
I don't have money for all that. Yeah, it's dude. What is it? That'd make a good CPAP mask.
Can you imagine?
Make a Bane CPAP mask. Oh damn! Yeah, it would make us. See, Josh, here real quick. I was just showing this one to John here, the Stormtrooper mask. You could actually put this thing on, but just showing John.
Verify your Stormtrooper mask is correct. Hold on a second. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So there you go. Untrackable says, I've been around. Bunch of happy loudmouths. I love you all, but the games continue within the community. Man. I don't know what games we're talking about, man. I don't know what we're talking about.
The only games we play here is Call of Duty and Rocket League.
That's it. Yeah. So we'll see. Instant non-quality range mask. Yeah, that's it. I believe it. So with that, yeah, I mean, I'm having too much fun, dude, as you can tell. Like I love the veteran community. I love what you all are doing, and thank you for joining us again, John. Always appreciate you and being here with you. I always look forward to this Sunday. We've been doing this for probably almost 2 years now,
Over.
and yeah, over, right? So freaking, it's awesome, man. And we're going to be here again together next Sunday, unless you got something going on, but we'll be here again next Sunday.
Next Sunday, I might not be here. I might
Oh,
be in an
damn.
airplane. Might be on my way somewhere. I
All
will
right.
have to see. I will get back to you and let you know. I don't know the official itinerary, but I may or may not be in here.
Okay, so if you won't be on here, it would be great if maybe somebody from the comments, somebody from here, could jump on and be a co-host next Sunday.
Could-
Give
I
you a chance to be a
potentially-
co-host.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've definitely opened it up before. I can try if I'm going to be traveling back and forth, I'll try to jump in and be on my mobile device and be an annoyance to everybody around me. But yeah, I'll let you know the itinerary. But yeah, that would be great. Or open it up to call in. Sounds like a couple people in the comments mentioned that's a nice way to go.
Yeah, yeah. So opening up to potential hosts or co-hosts in the absence of John next Sunday. So if anybody's interested, comment, post it in the comments, whatever the case may be, however you want to get a hold of us, and let us know, would you be interested in being a co-host with me and just talking some smack next Sunday on the Military Retirement Podcast and the Green Logbook? Let me know.
Give me 2 seconds and I will let you know if I'm going to be gone or not.
I'm trackable, man. I see your comment there. I'm glad you're happy now. Thank you.
We're here for you, man. That's why I said there's no bad what do they call it? No bad water under the bridge. What's the I don't know the phrase. Yeah, I'll have to let you know, man. I'll have to let you know. I think my flight's going to be sometime in the morning, but we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Before we go, I'm sorry, I keep bringing this up, but I do want to give a shout out to Navy Cop. Navy Cop has been with us since almost the beginning here. Shout out to you, brother. I love what you're doing. He's got the Buddy Check Project. And he's about to start his own podcast, his own channel here. So if you go on YouTube, I believe I subscribed to it yesterday or the day before. Let me make sure I got the right channel here before I shout out the wrong thing here.
And this is Buddy Check for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. It's
okay. Yeah. Here it is.
cornucopia of resources.
Yep. So if you go on YouTube and you just do @BuddyCheckRadio, you will find Navy Cop's channel. Now, there's nothing on it right now. He's got a few subscribers, but I want to show this man some love and give him a shout out right here on the live stream. Go and support this man. He's about to start his own YouTube channel, and he has made this incredible resource for service members, for veterans on there. And he just added that if you see the created pathways, John.
Yep.
He just added that. Click on that. Check that out. What's your pathway? And it'll curate that for you. How freaking awesome is that?
Amazing. Veteran starter kits, veteran reunions, veteran meetups. Yep. All kinds of great stuff on here.
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. So it's like a one-stop shop. It's becoming a one-stop shop, and I will never stop promoting this thing as long as it supports vets out there and the next mission after this chapter. Then I'll continue supporting this. So check out BuddyCheckProject.com and @BuddyCheckRadio on YouTube. Give this man Navy Cop some support here. And Navy Cop, I'll answer the email here with all the information that you put on, and I'll give you my response here soon. I'm on the computer today all day. I'm doing homework and stuff, so I will be on here. He said, OT says volunteers Navy Cop for tribute. I have one knob etch a sketch. Life is good. What? There you go. Up and down or left or right. That's all you can do. Yeah. Blood pressure. Gotcha. You're all good. Untrackable.
All good.
You're always welcome here. Still in the works, but growing slowly, surely. Yeah. And I'm low on the totem pole or on the pole. So get to me as soon as you can. No worries, man. I got you. But yeah. So with that, thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Military Retirement Podcast. Again, we stream on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on the Green Logbook. Wherever you're joining us from, I truly appreciate your time and hanging out with us. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think. If there's any other topics that maybe you want to have us talk about or research or discuss, let us know. If maybe you want to jump on as a co-host, potentially, let us know as well.
Amazing.
This is take me back to like the bum fights era. Remember bum fights?
Bum fights.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, don't
Google that.
No, it was back in like early 2000s, and some dudes started making videos and paying bums to do like homeless people to do just outrageous things, like run into walls and stuff. It's giving me the bum fights vibe here. Okay. So
All
with
right,
that,
everybody.
thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Military Retirement Podcast out here. So confused as
again.
well. Yes, Navy
Out
Cop,
here.
so confused.